Hey Slingers, welcome back to another week of the Wordslinger podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm talking to Reedsy Founder Ricardo Fayet about their new Discoverability service. You're going to want to hear all about it, so stick around.
It's the Wordslinger podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Well, I am Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger. I am so glad that you deigned to hang out with me for another week. I'm glad you're here. It's been a great week. I think there's a lot happening. There's a lot going on right now. I had a wonderful opportunity to talk to Ricardo Fayet for the second time, I believe, on this show. If you didn't hear the first interview, go over to wordslingerpodcast.com, which now sports on that page a nifty little search tool. All you gotta do is type in Ricardo or Ricardo Fayet or Reedsy or anything you want, and it'll bring up every episode in which the show notes mention that name or whatever. So I don't know why it took me so long to put that tool there, but it's there, and now you can go enjoy it. So discoverability is a hot topic in the self-publishing, indie publishing world, of course. Actually, no matter what world you're in, discoverability is a big deal. It's all about how people find your work, how they, quote, discover your work. So you want to make your work as discoverable as possible, which is what marketing is all about. But marketing can take on a lot of different shades. And so this particular shade is a new program that I think is appropriately named Reedsy Discovery. It's going to help readers find your work through a process of review. So really interesting. I'm still kind of digging in on it myself. I've got a book in there now that's been reviewed. I'm going to keep watching, see how things work. This is a brand new service. At the time that I talked to Ricardo about it, it was really just brand new in that it was still being tested. But thanks to Ricardo, I now have a little code I can give you. If you'll stick around to after the interview, I'll give you a code for trying this out. I think you get a little discount or something. I'll give you the details because I'm gonna go look it up as soon as we finish here. As soon as we finish this little business we got going here. So take a listen to this great interview with Ricardo Fayet from Reedsy. Stick around on the other side. I got some stuff I'll talk to you about. I'll give you the code and I'll talk to you about some other things that are on my mind. So stick around for Wordslinger stuff and more on the other side of this interview with Ricardo Fayet. Hey, okay. Now, this is a repeat guest. This is somebody I've had on the show before, and I had a big positive reaction at the time that he was on. But I'm talking to Ricardo Fayet. He is one of the founders of Reedsy. If you don't know what Reedsy is, you need to get out more. It's a great online marketplace for connecting authors to these sort of services that they need. Publishing talent who can help you get your books ready for prime time and out there for everyone to enjoy. We'll take care of the getting it out there, but these guys will help with literally everything else. So welcome, Ricardo. Thanks for coming back on the show, man.
No, thanks for inviting me back, Kevin. It's always a pleasure.
So we're going to talk about a new service you guys are rolling out. It's not quite released yet. You're running kind of a beta version of this thing right now.
Yeah, we're releasing it next Monday, March the 4th. So by the time you guys listen to this, we'll probably be out there.
It'll probably be well out there by the time you hear this.
Exactly.
So we're talking. You're calling the program Discovery, which hints at its underlying purpose, right? It's all about discoverability for a writer's work. Can you kind of break down how this service works?
Yeah, for sure. So we called it Discovery because when we called Reedsy, no one knew what we were doing. So we thought for our second name, might go for something more obvious.
Right.
So the idea for authors is to provide a new avenue for them to reach readers. So there are a bunch of avenues out there. I know there's places like BookBub. There's obviously Amazon, that is a search engine in and of itself. There's Goodreads. There's a bunch of other price promo sites. But there's still, when we talk to authors, the number one issue that they run into is like, how can we get our books found? Is still discoverability. So we think that there's space in the market for another player to offer kind of a different solution, different way for readers to find books ultimately. And we want to mix a bunch of stuff that's already out there, but in one place. We want to involve human curation, so that's kind of semi-professional reviewers.
Right.
We want to involve reader curation, so the kind of thing you have on Amazon, kind of through reviews and people buying books. And we want to involve also manual curation from our team. So a bunch of different ways to create books, and all of them focusing on new releases. So if we get into kind of how it works, as an author, you submit a book to Reedsy Discovery, and it can only be a book that you're going to launch in the next few weeks or months. And this book is going to be made available to our pool of reviewers. And our reviewers are kind of semi-professional book reviewers, people with book review blogs, people we've vetted, again, so we're famous for vetting our editors and designers on Reedsy. We're doing the same with reviewers on Discovery. And people who we know can write a really good review, a review that's better than your average Amazon review, obviously.
Okay.
And then if your book receives a review, you decide a date on which it goes live on Reedsy Discovery. And it will go live along with its review in a very nice put together page, a landing page for your book. And it will be promoted on that day to our readers that browse Reedsy Discovery.
Okay.
And obviously with buy buttons to all the retailers. And depending on your review, you will be more, you will get more or less exposure, obviously, from Discovery. And readers will be able to upvote you on there. So you can ask your fans to come upvote you, a little bit like Product Hunt, if you're familiar with that for products.
Okay.
And the most upvoted books of every week will be sent in a newsletter to our readers as well.
Okay. I was going to ask, like, what's the broad approach to these promotions? So the book goes into a pool within the Reedsy ecosystem, right? And you guys have your own vetted, for lack of a better word, reviewers.
Yes.
They choose which books they review.
Exactly. A book can only be reviewed by one reviewer. We want to maximize the chances of an author getting a review.
Okay.
So the books go into a pool. They show up in our reviewers' dashboards. And when a reviewer says, "Okay, this book sounds interesting. I'd be up for reviewing," they have to certify that they'll have time to review the book by the time the book launches on Discovery.
Right.
So it's important, obviously, to not submit your book like one week before you want it to go live on there, because otherwise no reviewer is going to pick it up. But if you give them time, you maximize your chances of getting a review.
Okay. All right. I could see how that's coming together. And then once that's up, it becomes the work of the author at that point is going to be getting people to go and upvote it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I do like that this is a little different from BookBub, and services like that, in that, I'm paying a flat fee to include it, but I can use, sweat and elbow grease to try to get the book into, and rather than me constantly having to up the ante with my wallet, I can start getting my platform involved to vote the book up. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one of the main ideas. It's to involve both reviewers, and then encourage authors, obviously, to bring their platform to it and upvote the book. And yeah, another big difference with BookBub is that right now I think a lot of sites focus on getting free books and discounted books to readers, and there's a lot of sites doing it really well out there. I mean, we're media, obviously BookBub, so we didn't really want to get into that game. We want to get into the game of like promoting new releases of really, really good books, exciting books in all genres, to readers who are interested in reading really, really good books and paying for them. So we want to attract readers who are not going to read maybe 30 books a month at $0.99, but maybe 5-10 books a month at full price.
Right. Yeah. I like that because it's a more qualified group of readers, which is what I'm after in particular. I think a lot of authors are, but a lot of us get kind of stuck in that rut of get them in the door any way we can. So we give away the books and we end up with a bunch of readers who only want free books. So this is kind of a resolution to that problem.
It might be, yeah. If it works, it's going to be one way to kind of solve that problem. But yes, I think there's, especially through the ways that authors market their books, Facebook ads, BookBub ads, all these platforms, which I use and really love, they do have the tendency to encourage free and discounted books. Basically, it's really, really hard to sell a book above like $2.99 through Facebook ads, in my experience, where it's incredibly easy to get a bunch of downloads at $0.99 or even at free.
Right.
So all these kind of, the ways that authors find readers nowadays through marketing kind of push the market towards more free books, more discounted books, which is not 100% sustainable in the future.
Right. Yeah. It's not the strategy I want to be my long-term strategy for sure. So we're talking, okay, so the talking about the readers, what is Reedsy's strategy for building up that list? I would assume that part of it is if we're having our platforms come over and upvote, they're probably having to register and become part of your whole environment, right? That's got to be part of it.
That's the classic, classic way to leverage other people's audiences. It's the way Product Hunt has done it. So yeah, right. Definitely we count on that.
Are there any other strategies involved in growing the reader list?
Nope, we're just scouting on authors.
Okay. No, are you kidding? Are you?
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I was going to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The authors are going to spend their time and energy and money, sort of qualifying their lists, I would assume, but
no, of course,
good that you have more than that.
No, we do have more than that. I think that kind of model works if you bring something to the table as well. If it's the author bringing everything to the table, then they might eat at home, basically, to keep the metaphor.
Right.
But no, we're running ads, obviously, to all the usual platforms. So again, ads are not the best for bringing the kind of readership we want, but we're still growing the list that way. And we're betting a lot on SEO because that's how we've built Reedsy. I think we're the number 1 or number 2 site in the whole publishing industry in terms of organic traffic.
Right.
So we kind of know how to build a big blog, and we've started a Reedsy Discovery blog aimed at readers that's ranking really well for a bunch of terms already. So we hope to basically build a reader list of engaged readers that way. Because if you acquire a reader who's read your blog a couple of times and has read articles like the 100 best sci-fi books of all time, for example, it's probably going to be a more qualified reader than someone who you've reached through a Facebook ad saying, receive like sci-fi books for free.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's I agree with that philosophy. So yeah, that sounds, so it's an interesting kind of chicken and egg sort of thing too, because you on the one hand, for a service like this to really be successful, you do have to have that large group of readers. But to get that large group of readers, you kind of need this sort of content to attract them in the first place, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which is why we did an early release to a few of our Reedsy authors who worked with our editors, designers in the past few months. So we're thinking they're probably like ready to release their books by now. And we've already got, I think, 50 submissions in a day. So it's pretty encouraging. Yeah, I forgot to say the price point of all that is $50.
Yeah.
So it costs $50. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, if you can get anywhere close to well, let's just say, what is it? Written Word, their whole
Bargain Booksy
Bargain Booksy and those guys, which is that's a great service. If if you can get close to their numbers, then $50 is a phenomenal bargain.
Absolutely.
Maybe a little tougher to get close to the BookBub numbers, but it's also
It will be. It probably will be
yeah
in the beginning.
yeah
But yeah, I mean, I have to say there's a risk. It's one of these platforms where there's a risk involved on the author side. Because you might, if you submit a book, it gets picked up by a reviewer who loves it, gives it a 5-star review.
mm-hmm.
Then it's going to get a lot of exposure, and you're probably going to get a lot out of it on top of a really good review.
Right.
But there's a chance that they give you a 2-star review. Like we've got strict reviewer guidelines where we ask our reviewers to be to distribute their stars evenly, basically.
Right.
So if they read 100 books a year, they should only give 5 stars to 10 of them.
Wow.
That these are really exceptional books. Yeah. So we're kind of taking we want to give a bit more value back to the review, because right now reviews are a watered down currency. Like you see 5-star review. Like if the book is not 5 stars, then
so what about the author at that point? Do we, let's say I dropped $50 on this, I put my book in, I get a 2-star review. Do I have to allow that review to go live?
Yes, but it's going to get hidden. Like it's not going to be promoted to readers. It's going to get buried, and we're going to no index the page so it doesn't show up on Google. So basically, you will not gain anything out of it, probably, most likely. But we won't hurt your chances of succeeding in other places.
Okay.
So there is a risk element involved, and we know we're going to get a lot of backlash from authors getting 2-star reviews. Yeah. But we're ready to take that risk. Because on the reader side, I think it makes more sense to see an even distribution of reviews.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, there's only a handful of movies that are above 80%.
Right. Right.
Whereas a lot of places where you go now, if you look at book reviews, it's all 4 and 5 stars, which kind of seems weird to a reader.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. All right. Yeah. Well, it does sound like you've mitigated some of that author risk though. If, because the last thing I think anybody wants, I guess what you've done makes it sort of the equivalent of a dud promotion. I put money into a promotion, but it didn't really net me enough to justify. But by making that putting a no follow on that and burying it in your archives kind of thing, maybe that will mitigate some of that risk. So.
Definitely. I mean, it will still be a blow, obviously, to get a 2-star review, but we don't want it to hurt your chances elsewhere.
Well, I guess the only thing that kind of sets off my spidey sense on that is that if I put in and you guys grow, then, my chances of getting a 2-star review go up the more popular this service becomes. So that would concern me a little, just because if they're spreading it out and they're sort of obligated to only do like 10 books out of 1,000 get a 4 or 5-star review, then the odds of getting a low review go way up. Yeah.
I mean, reviews are the curve for reviews is like this. It's basically, it's like a bell. So you're not going to get you're going to get a lot of 3 stars, and then you're going to get a bit of 2 stars, a bit of 4 stars, and then very few 1 stars. I don't think we're going to see any 1 stars really, because if a reviewer really doesn't like a book, they can stop reviewing it, stop reading it, and put it back into the pool of reviewers. So I don't think someone's going to torture themselves to finish a book that they really believe is a 1-star,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, readers have tastes. They have their own personal tastes.
Absolutely.
So entirely possible.
If someone feels like the book is good, if a reviewer feels that the book is good, but it's really not for them, they're going to stop reading and put it back into the pool, so that another reviewer who might be more relevant for that book may pick it up. And accordingly. So we're not expecting that many 1 stars. And then, we're expecting most reviews to be between 2 and 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Reviewers nowadays are really used to giving a lot of 4 and 5 stars. So while these are our guidelines, we know it's not necessarily going to happen immediately, this kind of even distribution. Right. So I think we're relatively safe in the beginning, but I mean, there are going to be for 2 stars. But along with 2 stars is going to come feedback. If someone tells you that your characterization, there are issues with your characters, or that there's like a slow point, like two-thirds of the way up in your novel, then maybe you want to take a look at that again or get an advice for someone else.
Yeah.
So there's an element of feedback as well to take into there. But yeah, people are not
So
going to be happy.
that raises a really interesting point as well, because if, let's say I've submitted a book, it's not, you know, whether or not I think it is or not, it's not actually ready for prime time. So I willfully pay my $50, but someone who picks it up decides it's a terrible book, needs a lot of guidance and editing, some developmental editing, and it's got other problems besides, and they give it 1 or 2 stars, but they give me great feedback and I can go fix that book. Am I able at some point to reinitiate the process and maybe get another review, or am I permanently stuck with that negative?
That's a good question. In the beginning, you're going to be stuck with a negative, but we might implement it another way in the future if we see a lot of authors actually reconsidering or changing their book after they get the review, basically.
Yeah. Seems like a good opportunity to upsell them on some of your services, actually.
Got a 2-star review at $50. Give us another $50 for another chance.
See, and then you throw in a discount. Look, that was a swing and a miss, but we'll 25% off the next round if you use our service to, I'm just throwing that out there. It's a great way for you to.
That's good. I like it.
Okay. I have some reader questions if you are up for it. There's only 3. I didn't put this out with enough lead up time to get you some really good ones. So first question is from Alyssa, asking how are they reaching out / gathering / getting readers, and what's their master plan for that, because they are an author platform. I think we kind of talked about that already. Yeah,
we are an author platform, so we started gathering readers. We've got a small list of like around 10,000 readers right now, mostly fiction, if not like all fiction.
Okay.
And we're gonna keep growing it. As we mentioned, like there's the authors getting involved when asking their platform to upvote. There's some ads, but there's mostly SEO. So yeah.
Okay.
We expect the list to grow relatively quickly if we don't mess up our SEO game.
All right. We're going to be watching then. Kate asks, how does Reedsy Discovery compare to services like NetGalley or Goodreads?
So compared to NetGalley, there's a good price difference to start with. Then NetGalley gives you exposure to reviewers. So you might get 0 reviews, like on Reedsy Discovery, or you might get 6 reviews, whereas on Discovery, you can get it between 0 and 1 only, like maximum 1 review. Okay. The big difference is NetGalley then just like gives you the reviews and doesn't do much with it, whereas Reach is gonna use that review to promote your book to readers. So NetGalley is about like getting editorial reviews. Reach is about getting 1 editorial review and a lot of exposure to readers.
Right. Okay. What about Goodreads? How you stack up there?
Goodreads, One of our motivations for creating Reedsy Discovery is that we think there's a place in the market because of Goodreads. Basically, it's a website that hasn't changed in so long, that is so horrible, so ugly, and yet a lot of people still use it. So we think we can challenge Goodreads at some point. Right now, I think the differences are pretty big. Like Goodreads is a place where you can get as many reviews as you want from like anyone. Reedsy Discovery is going to be, again, a place where you get maximum 1 review, and then we use that review to actually promote your book to other readers. So in that way, it's going to be similar to Goodreads in that we actually promote your book in newsletters, and we're going to add follow buttons, so readers will be able to follow authors. More importantly, they'll be able to follow reviewers. So if a reviewer keeps uncovering really great fancy books, if you're a fancy reader, you're going to think, okay, I want to follow that reviewer because they're just going to like find the best new fancy books for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you were going to have that built in, so that people could follow a specific reviewer? Because I imagine that's going to help with the sort of alignment of tastes, right? If I grow to trust Joe, who is reviewing the types of books that he's consistently reviewing the types of books I read, I can trust his judgment. I mean, that's going to draw me in as a reader.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the big angles we were going to use, obviously, to convince readers, and that we're using right now. And it's a great argument as well for reviewers to attract high quality reviewers, because while we don't pay reviewers for their reviews, we do allow them to build an audience. And that audience can transfer over to their blog afterwards as well. Okay. And finally, we're going to allow, so the ability to follow authors and reviewers is going to come up in a week. So by the time you listen to this, it'll be there. And one of our next features as well that we want to implement is the ability for authors to submit directly to one reviewer in particular. Okay. So if there's a reviewer, as you said, that you feel reviews a lot of books like the ones you write, you can submit to Discovery and submit directly to that reviewer. And books that are submitted directly to a reviewer rather than just submitted to Discovery will show up in a special place in a reviewer's dashboard. So they'll look at them more in particular, basically.
Okay. So what are the reviewers getting out of this, by the way? What do they get paid for these reviews, or get some kind of bonus points, or how does it work for them?
They get all our love and gratitude. No, it's a way for them to grow their audience. All these reviewers generally have a blog on the site where they do reviews as a hobby, and we give them exposure to a bunch of readers and the ability for these readers to follow them and join their audience. Okay. So that's what they get out of it.
You all should be using our universal book links so you can make some extra money on your reviews. Just throwing that out there.
That is true. Reviewers should use universal book links on their blogs.
All right. I got one final question. I apologize in advance for this question, Ricardo. Okay. Steven says, I'd like you to ask Ricardo for some tips on how to perfect such a sexy accent. Dead serious question, asking for a friend.
I think the best way is to be born in Europe, but failing that, you can try spending a good amount of time in Europe and try to copy the accents of the people there.
I think I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to go full Anglophile and go hang out in Britain so I can perfect a British accent, because chicks dig British accents. Apparently they dig Spanish accents too. So maybe I'm naming in the wrong place.
Maybe it's that American chicks just like dig accents from elsewhere.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Yes, I told him that I think it's because of all your visits to the U.S. That's the real secret to capitalizing on.
Absolutely. That's how I got that accent. Yeah. The U.S.
So this is officially, it launches March 4th, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once it's full tilt, are there features? I know you've talked about a couple of features that are going to come online between now and then. Are there any other major features you want to mention that are already part of the plan?
No, I think the big ones are follow authors, follow reviewers, ability to submit directly to a reviewer, and it's pretty much it that I can think of right now. But we're always going to be building features in there, which is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, anything that helps with discoverability, man. You know, that's the holy grail of this whole business. So
it is.
I'm going to wish you luck, and I'm going to follow everything closely, and I'm probably going to give you $50 a month as I release books. So you can at least, until I get that first 2-star review, then I'm out. We're going to have to find a solution. All right.
You already got a good review. You've got your designated reviewer now. You can keep sending her books.
Yes. So, I'm going to form a nice personal relationship with this person, and
exactly.
Slip her an additional $50 every now and then. So now I'm up to 100. So
I know one last feature that we should talk that I wanted to mention is the ability for readers to tip reviewers. Actually,
I was literally just going to ask you that if there was a way to tip the reviewers. But what about ethical questions there?
no, but only for the readers to tip the
Oh, for the
reviewers.
readers to do it.
Yeah. No, we thought about the ethical questions, and no way for the authors. Even if you sign up with a reader account, we'll detect it and we'll block you. But yeah, we're thinking.
I have a wife, Ricardo.
Damn.
No cheating the system. That's how people end up. That's how Amazon got into the state it's in. So no.
Exactly.
All right. Well, okay. So tell everybody where they can find more about this. Since as of right now, it's not officially launched, but is there like a URL you can send people to? Because this will go live after the 4th for sure.
Absolutely. Reedsy.com/discovery.
Excellent. All right, man. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We're at time anyway, and I think this is a great tool. I can't wait to see how it shakes out. I know you guys are still kind of tweaking it, finessing it, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of new features over the next year. But I'm excited to see something like this come around, man. So,
thank you.
Great work. All right. Okay, everybody. Right now, you're hearing the groovy bridge music. You may dance in place it well, and if you stick around, I'm sure to say stuff after this break. So I'll see you on the other side.
Hear your book the way it was meant to be heard, with a fully custom soundtrack based on your material, an album of music that perfectly fits your characters, your settings. Hear your book today. SonataInscribe.com.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Ricardo Fayet and his sexy Spanish accent. That is something he gets a lot, I think. So, and we refer to him, by the way, in the business as Spanish Jesus, which I didn't bring up in the interview, but probably should have. So, now, if you are, thank you for sticking around. Now, if you were looking for that, the code. First of all, you're going to want to go check out reedsy.com/discovery, and Reedsy is REEDSY. You'll find a link to this in the show notes, so don't worry if you can't write it down if you're driving or whatever. Thank you for being safe. But you're going to want to go check that out and use the code Wordslinger. Now, he has it in all caps. I like saying it in all caps. But that's going to get you, I don't know if this is case sensitive, but put it in all caps anyway. But that's going to get you $10 off if you sign up and submit a book prior to March 31st. That's going to save you $10 off that $50 fee for putting your book into the process. So you'll get this for $40 instead of $50 when you use the code Wordslinger before March 31st. So go check that out. While you're there, go to, I'm going to add an additional / to the address, but if you'll also go to reedsy.com/discovery/books, scroll down and find The Stepping Maze. That's my thriller that I've put on the service. If you'll go find that, and upvote it, you'll help me get that book promoted in the service. So I really appreciate it. That's my little bonus. But go to reedsy.com/discovery, enter the code Wordslinger at checkout, and you'll enjoy $10 off when you pay for the service. So check that out. That's before March 31st. Now, that is that's cool, actually. I kind of like the review aspect of this. I'm still kind of looking at to see how this is going to work out for the authors. I think they're still kind of trying some things and learning some things. But I like Reedsy. I'm a big fan of how they do business. I know that they are out for the author's best interest, just like Draft to Digital. I'm pretty impressed with how they've worked so far. So, and I like Ricardo a lot. so go check that out. Now, I hear dogs barking, so I apologize. My dog may go off any minute now. Things have been going pretty well this week in Wordslinger land. I've had some really interesting things come up, and I've had some people reach out about certain, one, there was a whole, this is the preface. There was a whole scenario. There's a website out there. It's like ebooks.bike or something. Don't go there. Okay, let's not give them any traffic. So it doesn't really matter what the URL is, but they are pirating books. And what I've determined is that they are on the BookBub list, and every time someone promotes a free book, they go download it, and then they make it available on their service. So this is the sort of dark underbelly of using services like BookBub for promotion, especially when it comes to free. Which is another argument, by the way, for I really don't particularly like doing the free promotions. I don't like just giving the books away for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about those. One is, and I do promote with free books. You should know this up front. It's been effective, but I think that its effectiveness is starting to kind of get watered down. And one of the problems is that I feel that I am effectively training readers to look for free books rather than pay for them. I am all for doing things that are in the service of the readers, doing things that help them out. And sometimes, I get a lot of readers who are on fixed incomes, a lot of retirees, people who just don't have the money to throw at books, and the free books are a great way for them to have some entertainment. The thing is, I appreciate that, but you can get a library membership for no overhead. Costs you nothing. It's your right to have a library membership. So now that you can get ebooks and audiobooks as well as print books through your library and get them online through services like Overdrive, go check those out. There's really no reason why the authors have to accommodate free book requests anymore, I think. It's a great tool to get people in. I used free books. I used my first in-series free for the Dan Kotler series for years, but it's led to some issues as well. I get reviews sometimes from people who are trashing the book for poor editing, but they got a copy of it, 4 or 5 years ago as a free promotion, and I've since improved it or whatever. So they leave these unverified purchase reviews on Amazon to say, well, I like the book, but it has some serious editing needs. So there's a slight irritation, and arguments can be made that the book should never have gone out before it was fully edited, and I have stories about that as well. So the problems here, they start to compound though when we start thinking about all these readers who come in and they join your mailing list just to get a free book. They're usually the first people to unsubscribe, or even worse, mark you as spam the first time they get an email, or they stick around for months and months and months and open every single email and then mark you as spam. I get emails from people who are offended that I'm charging for the books. I get emails from people who give me stories, sob stories effectively, to say, I'm on a fixed income. I made $10 this year. I can't afford to buy books. Really love your work. Could you please give me a free book? Sometimes I will. Sometimes I won't. But what it comes down to is, as much as I love that I'm allowing this stuff to be out there as a part of culture, as a part of an outreach and a message, it is a business. I do have to make income from this stuff. So, man, that dog is really upset. I don't know if you hear this or not. I keep hearing a neighbor's dog barking. So anyway, the thing is, though, I have a sort of complex view when it comes to piracy. So I wonder where that dog is, actually. There shouldn't be a dog running around loose out there. But anyway, dogs everywhere. When it comes to piracy, I have an interesting perspective that some people don't agree with. But I'm going to give it to you. You can think about it, and you can integrate this if you want. And I change my perspective on this sometimes, too. But there's this site that is giving away the books of various authors, not just indie authors, but also big name authors. Stephen King's got books on this site. John Grisham, everybody you've heard of, actually. Anybody you've heard of, and a whole lot of folks you haven't heard of are basically being hit by this. Now, they've gotten a series, I'm sure by now, much more, but they've gotten a series of takedown notices They've gotten a whole bunch of cease and desist emails and letters and things like that. Mine among them. And, I do, when I find out that a site is sort of blatantly pirating my work, I do go to them and say, you're violating my copyright. Here's a cease and desist letter. Here's a takedown notice. I do all the things that are sort of required of me to protect my work, and you should. But I do it for the purposes of precedence. I don't actually think it's going to be effective to try to get these guys to take those books down. I think that they'll just rebrand and move on and offer the exact same catalog, or sell that entire catalog to someone else who'll do the exact same thing and give those books away, because they're using it to attract viewership on their website to get ad dollars, or they are collecting data from the people who are downloading so they can sell that and scam people that way. There's 1,000 ways that this could be used for nefarious purposes. Giving the free books away, it's the same tactics that we use in marketing. It's just that their purpose is darker and more nefarious. So the philosophy I've come to, though, is that in a real sense, the pirated books aren't hurting me. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but I've chosen to believe that they don't hurt me. And in fact, I treat them just like I treat any free promotion. If I'm going to promote a book and give it away for free, I relinquish control over what people do with that book. And if someone is determined to get a book for free, they're going to get it. Right? So the way I see this is, the philosophy I operate under, is that the person downloading that book was never my reader. They were never going to purchase that book from me. That didn't matter. I could have put it on sale for 99 cents and they still wouldn't have bought it, because their goal was to get a free book. If they enjoyed the book and they loved it, there's a call to action at the end of the book that points them to the next book, and they may go try to find that for free as well. But in that sense, they actually are not customers. They're not readers. And my philosophy on this is, it doesn't matter if there's a group of people out there who are just never going to pay for the books and are always going to find them for free and pirate them. I think that what they're doing is wrong, and I think they're being jerks. But I also I am not losing anything. I don't believe that I'm losing anything when this happens. So you're not robbing me of sales when you steal my book. What you're doing is committing an unethical act. You are being unethical, if you steal someone's work. Unethical, immoral, however you want to phrase this, however you want to frame it. You're doing something wrong. You're not hurting me. Like, you're not stealing sales from me in my perspective, in my philosophy, because you were never going to buy that book. I shouldn't say you. Everyone listening to this, I'm just going to assume you're the good guys. But the person who is out there stealing someone's work was never the customer of that work. They enjoyed it without contributing back for it, without compensating the creator for it, and that is on them. But they were never the customer, literally. Like, they never paid a dime, so they were never a customer. You can't say that that by providing that free intellectual property, that free book, free movie, free TV show, that the organization pirating it is somehow keeping you from making money, because they're not. There are always going to be people who are willing to buy your work. The groups that are out there pirating and stealing it, some of them think they're providing a service to people who just can't afford these books, right? I read that article recently where a piracy website was taken down, and the readers were outraged in protest that they were poor, or they didn't have access to these books for legal reasons in their region or whatever, and so they were attacking the authors over this. That's a ridiculous argument, but can see slightly where they're coming from. But the idea here is really stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about people pirating your work. I love what Cory Doctorow does. So he just puts all of his books, every single book, up on his website, available for free download. Okay? You can go to corydoctorow.com and download any one of his books and not pay a dime. He doesn't care. And the reason he doesn't care is because he's, aside from people downloading those free books, he's making book sales. He's hitting bestseller lists. He's making his living from his work. And he considers it promotion, just like I do. I consider it, if someone's handing you a free copy of Coelho Medallion, and you read it and you like it, there is a slender chance that you will pick up Atlantis Riddle. One second, I'm gonna mute. Hold on. I apologize, but my throat was starting to get all cloggy and phlegmy. So there's a chance that you may decide, I like this author, I'm going to support his work, and I'm going to buy it. There's also a chance that you may decide, I like this author, I'm going to steal everything he's written because I don't want to pay for it. There's that chance. Delicious, refreshing water. There is that chance. But does it hurt you? And there are lots of arguments against this idea, and I understand them all. I just choose a different route. I have chosen to and decided that that this isn't hurting me and is in fact just more promotion. If you think about it, I have to pay BookBub hundreds of, sometimes thousands of dollars to promote a free book. Okay? Or this website will just promote it for free. I don't pay a dime. Now, there are some pros and cons there. When BookBub promotes it, they send people to a website where the book would normally be purchased, and your downloads get counted as, and maybe you get a rank. On Amazon in particular, you can rank at the top of the free store. So that gets some attention. That gets you some more promotion, which can lead to book sales. So there is that bonus in doing it through BookBub. On these sites that are just downloading them and providing them, you don't get any actual promotion. Like nobody's going out and saying, read Kevin's book, here it is for free. But if people stumble across that book, then they are, they're getting exposed to hopefully the marketing that you've put in there. So if they really like it and enjoy it and they want to read the next book, they'll have to go looking for it. And they may only find that it can be purchased and not downloaded for free. You never know. Feel like I'm kind of all over the place with that, but I'm hoping you're getting what I'm saying here. I've decided that the whole piracy thing isn't something I'm going to worry about. I'm not going to put any energy into it, fighting it. Beyond the sort of token, like, I use what I call the Starbucks philosophy on this. So if you open a coffee shop and you create a drink and you call that drink a Frappuccino, Starbucks will send you a cease and desist letter with some scary words in it. And they'll threaten and they'll say that they could bring a lawsuit against you and that you need to cease and desist. You need to stop offering a product that uses their copyrighted and trademarked name. Now, the reason they do that isn't because they're out to shut down all the mom and pop shops in the world. The chances that they're actually going to sue you are pretty slim. If you were a bigger chain, maybe. If you were Pete's and you created the Frappuccino and put it on your menu, Starbucks will probably sue you because you're a big known name and you're trying to profit off something that is actually intellectual property of Starbucks. But if you're a smaller group, if you're a smaller company, a smaller business, the chances of them suing you are pretty slim. But if they don't make an effort to show that they sent you a cease and desist, that you were asked to stop, that you are guarding your intellectual property, if they don't do that, then if it ever comes up, a case can be made that they don't actually own the copyright to that product, that it's public domain, right? that the name Frappuccino isn't a copyrightable term. So they have to make some effort to defend their intellectual property, or risk it being just deflated, taken away. So I do the same thing. So when I have a book out there and I discover a site that's got it, I send them a scary letter, and I demand that they take it down. And sometimes they will, and sometimes, like this e-bike site, they won't. They don't, because they don't care. They are insulated probably by complete anonymity. Chances of finding the actual owners of this site are going to be slim in my estimate. So I don't think that it's ever going to come down, and if it does, it's just going to pop up as a new brand elsewhere. They'll still have their same mailing list to promote it. They'll still have, they can probably just shift everything over SEO-wise, start ranking on Google again. They'll just start over. It's like a weed. So rather than spend my energy fighting that, which I don't think is effective, I'm just going to turn my gaze away from it. I'm not losing sales. I in fact never would have had those sales, so it's not harming me financially. And I don't think, and also I'll just let the big name publishers, the big five, and some of the big authors who control their own brand, I'll just let them do the fighting. I don't need to get involved in that. Other than doing, as I said, just making sure that I'm taking care of any claims against my copyright. So that's my philosophy. So you can disagree. I understand. If you do, it's fine. You have to come to your own philosophy when it comes to this stuff. Sometimes it's kind of like pick the hill you're going to die on, which has been on my brain a lot lately, because I used to fight all the battles, and it was exhausting, and I have the scars. Not just, there's a physical toll it takes on you. I think I pulled in a lot of tension, and rage and anxiety ruled my life. And then, and it got nowhere. It made no impact on the world whatsoever. Whereas if I relaxed about it, let things pass more often, and really focused on the things that are truly important to me, I can make incremental difference in those things instead. So for me, it was, I'm going to stop protesting all the things that I see as an injustice, and pick the things that I'm going to put my energy into, and so that it's a decision and not a reaction. I still slip. I still get offended by some things. I'm trying to work on that. I am working on that. But I'm trying to get to a point where I'm never offended by anything. That's my goal. I'm also doing this thing where, now that we're going to shift into the more personal part of the program, I'm doing this thing where I'm challenging all my assumptions. Now this goes into every aspect of my life, but particularly the things like when I encounter opposing views to my own on social media, for example. I'm starting to ask myself, why does that bother me? Like, if I read something that offends me, why does it offend me? I want to know. I want to dig deeper and find out. And there's value in this, particularly for authors. The reason that there's value in this is if we continue along on our assumptions, we never make any new insights into how we work or how other humans work. If we're constantly falling back on those assumptions and defending them to the death, and we never consider another point of view, then we don't grow. This, by the way, is not the same argument that a lot of people use to defend. I'm trying to phrase this in such a way that I'm not targeting a specific group, even though I have a specific group in mind. But this is not, you need to reconsider because you were wrong. This is, you need to reconsider because you may be wrong, and there is value in considering the other side of every argument. Whether or not you're right is almost irrelevant. You can be right and still be closed-minded. You can be open-minded and still cling to your, not cling to, but you can be open-minded and still be completely justified in your positions and in your assumptions. But you should always question assumptions. The philosophy I'm operating on is question all assumptions. All assumptions should be considered bad, even though all assumptions are not bad. You should consider every assumption bad until you have challenged it. And you should probably always challenge it, because new things come to light all the time. New information, new perspectives, new ideas. We as writers have an obligation to be open to taking in these ideas, processing them, and learning how to articulate them. That's what I feel the obligation of the writer is. This is why I argue that you should read widely. There's a lot of really good justification for reading in your genre. You should know the tropes of your genre. As a thriller writer, I read a lot of thrillers, which I didn't necessarily read before. And in particular, I read thrillers by authors who write my specific genre, the whole archaeological thriller thing. But I also read other thriller writers outside of that. And then outside of thrillers, I read anything else I can find. I read genre fiction. I also read literary fiction. I read a lot of nonfiction. I read everything I can get my hands on. And I read it in a way that is one part enjoyment and one part study. Everything I read now is that 50-50 prospect. I want to see what's working. I want to be in love with the language, in love with the way the ideas are expressed, and I want to emulate that. And I want to be entertained as well. And if it's not entertaining, it's much more difficult to read, but that doesn't mean I should just give up on it. Sometimes you have to just push through and eat your broccoli. I happen to like broccoli, but you get what I'm saying. So that's the way things. That's how we grow as writers. So the big takeaways from this episode, beyond Ricardo's new program at Reedsy Discovery, the big takeaways, I believe, are: one, don't sweat when people are trying to steal your work. They can't really steal it. Protect yourself in whatever ways make you feel most comfortable, whatever ways you feel are most intelligent. You can register copyrights. There was a Supreme Court justice ruling here in the U.S. yesterday regarding copyright. Just to kind of sum it up, it no longer in order for you to raise a lawsuit regarding copyright, you must have a registered copyright. At first, I took this the entirely wrong way and believed that meant that natural copyright was no longer relevant. But actually, it's the opposite. It makes it even more relevant, because now you naturally own a copyright for everything you create. If someone infringes on that copyright, you can sue them, but you'll first have to register the copyright. However, it doesn't matter when you do that, when in the process that happens. So you can retroactively go back and file a lawsuit once you have established the copyright, because the UPTO, the United Patent and Trademark Office, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office here in the U.S., allegedly has vetted your petition for copyright and has verified that it is accurate. So if that's the case, then the court will look at it and say, okay, a U.S. office, federal office, regulated office has verified that this copyright belongs to author X. Therefore, our judgment is in favor of author X. And you can challenge, if someone decides to copyright out from under you, you can challenge the copyright in a variety of ways to reclaim that copyright as well. So what this does is allow you to continue on without the increased overhead of a registered copyright on everything that you produce, but still be able to protect that copyright retroactively. That's a side that's an aside. So the takeaways for this episode are really, don't worry too much about being pirated. Do what you got to do to protect yourself. But it's not something I think you need to spend too much energy on. I think you can be okay. All right. I know that everyone's paranoid that their stuff's going to get stolen, but it's really just not anything you need to worry about. You're going to have to come to your own decision on that. The other takeaways, if you should challenge your assumptions, all assumptions, no matter what they are, even if it's something you've just known your entire life, or even something you've learned recently and you just assume you understand it. It's never going to hurt you to go back and spend the time to reinvestigate, to consider other sides of an argument, other outside perspectives, and then you should. And I've slipped a little, and I don't remember the exact thing that I covered, but you should always look around you, read widely to understand the world from different perspectives, so that you can bring those new perspectives to your writing. If nothing else, the argument I've made is that I write characters who have lives that are independent of my own. So if I want those characters to have a sense of realism and depth, to have layers, then it really behooves me to read widely, because now I have experiences that I can bring to those characters. All right. So that's it for this week. We're at 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up, but I appreciate that you've stuck around through all this. Hope I wasn't too rambly. But if you have questions, please hop over to wordslingerpodcast.com. You can send me an email from that site, or you can comment on one of the episodes. Go to the show notes for the episode and leave a comment there. And you can also reach out to me on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Go and be sure to leave a review for this show if you don't mind. If you can go to iTunes, search for Wordslinger Podcast, leave me a review, because that will help other people discover the show. If you're on YouTube, I say all this in the little wrap up at the end, but if you're on YouTube, go ahead and click subscribe, like this video, share it widely, share it with people, and make some comments there and help me spread the word about the show. YouTube is the underserved market for me right now. The audio version of this podcast has close to 40,000 downloads each week, but the YouTube channel only has like 120 subscribers. So go subscribe and tell other people to subscribe if you get value out of this show. So that's it. I appreciate you being here. I love each and every one of you. God bless all of you, and I'll see you all next week. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Wordslinger Podcast. Now, you can support this show by visiting wordslingerpodcast.com. That's where you're going to find back episodes, books by me, and links to anything and everything Wordslinger. And be sure to subscribe to this show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and anywhere else fine podcasts are sold. I'm Kevin Tomlinson. Thanks for tuning in. We'll check you next time.
Wordslinger.